Today we're talking about cold water therapy, and if this is something that you want to start, then this video is for you. This is basically going to be a complete beginner's guide on how to do cold water therapy at home. There are different methods of doing cold water exposure therapy, all at different price points. So basically I've tried them all, and we'll go through the pros and cons of each method, as well as go through the price points, which range from free to about $20 a day to a few hundred to actually spending multiple thousands of dollars on an actual machine. After that, we'll go through the actual ice plunge process from start to finish, the different optimal temperatures and how long you should do cold water therapy for, how you can actually breathe properly, how to warm back up, all the benefits and more. So yeah, this is just gonna be a comprehensive tutorial about everything you need to know before starting cold water therapy. I've been doing it consistently for the last almost half year, and yeah, I'll just teach you guys everything I know. The beauty is that at the end of the day, it's just cold water. So you don't really need to invest a whole lot of money depending on what method you choose to go with. Let's get started. So first, let's talk about equipment, because I think this is a question that you guys probably have. How can you actually do cold water therapy at home? The first section we'll talk about is actually just doing it for free. And there are three main methods you guys can do this. So the first is just by taking cold showers. Now I know doing cold showers doesn't get you to quite the low temperature that you might expect for a cold plunge, but it's still a great way to get into cold therapy exposure. And while it's not as intense and doesn't have all the benefits of using an actual, cold tub, it still is really great, and I personally do them a lot. Basically, just turn on the water, leave it at the coldest setting, and then depending on the weather outside and the temperature, your water should be around, 60, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And trust me, guys, that definitely does feel very cold. So try this out if you guys haven't done cold water exposure yet. This is a great way to get into it without really dying your first time trying. The other way is if you guys have a pool at home, then you're really lucky, because all you really have to do is have your pool unheated. Now, this only works if you're in a cold place. If you guys are in a place where it's super hot outside, then of course the water is also going to be heated by the sun. But if you're in a more cool spot that's under 50 degrees, then the water is also going to be very, very cold, and that's going to work really well. Here at this apartment complex, the pool outside is not heated, so I actually use that pool sometimes as a cold plunge, and we'll do contrasting therapy going from there to the hot tub right next to it. And then the final way to do this completely free while it's not at home is by going outside, going to a really cold lake. Yeah, that's the most natural way to get into cold water. So the second method costs a little bit of money, but it's not too bad. And that is basically buying ice every time you want to do an ice bath. So the cost of this really depends on where you guys are and where you shop at. But for most of you guys, I think it's gonna be around $30 every single time you do this. And you'll wanna buy between 40 to 50 pounds of ice. That should be sufficient ice in order to get the water temperature in whatever tub you're using to around 50, 45 degrees. And the way you guys do this is just go to your local grocery store, go to the ice section, buy the ice bags, and then bring them home in your car. I know this is pretty tedious, but you have to do this if you don't have ice at home, or if you don't want to invest in an actual, ice tub machine. And so basically what you guys will do is you'll empty out your bathtub or some type of tub that you guys have at home. Make sure it's plugged up, fill it with water that's as cold as you can get from your tap, and then put the ice in. Let that ice melt, and then after a few minutes, that's when you can actually start going inside. The temperature of the water when you do it this way is really going to depend on how much water you use, the temperature of the tap water, as well as how much ice you guys are buying. So it's really hard to get a constant steady temperature when you guys do this, but it really is a great way to do your periodic ice baths. This is sort of how I got started, and before investing in any equipment, I recommend just try this out, see how you like it, see how you feel after the ice bath, and think, do I actually want to keep doing this? Because if you really, really hate it, I guarantee you, you're probably not going to want to keep doing it, and it's just going to be a waste of money to spend more money. So now the next way of doing an ice bath will probably set you back about $200 to $1,000. If you guys don't have a bathtub at home that you guys can use, then this is probably going to be the route that you have to take. Now there are all sorts of products popping up on the market that give you a tub to do an ice bath in. We'll link some of them down below. I haven't used most of them, but guys, it's just a tub. That's literally all you need. So I really think that all these should work perfectly fine. There's also the ice barrel, which I think costs about $1,000. But the thing with that is that it's literally just a barrel. I guess it looks kind of cool, but you're paying $1,000 for a 3D printed barrel that doesn't provide any cooling. You still need to provide the ice ice and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know if that is gonna be the best value. There are lots of tubs that you guys can get at home improvement stores. Those should all be perfectly suitable. And yeah, you'll wanna pair that with buying ice, or you can pair that with an actual aquatic water cooler, which brings us into the next section, which does cost a little bit more money. For about $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000, you guys can build your own DIY ice bath machine. Now there are so many forums out there that teach you guys exactly how to do this. There's Facebook groups that you guys can join. There really is a big movement in the DIY space for doing ice baths. And again, it makes a lot of sense because these actual ice baths that you buy, as we'll talk later on in this video, are really, really expensive. Most people cannot afford these machines, so of course it does make sense to do a DIY machine. People have made ice baths using a chest freezer paired with a few different items. And guys, while that does work well, you have to think, is this something that I actually want to spend a lot of time building, and will I actually use it, right? Like I have a friend that built a chest freezer. They used it for maybe a few weeks, but after that they stopped using it. It got all moldy and then they eventually threw it away. There's also aquatic water cooling machines that you guys can get on sites like Amazon. These generally run between $1,000 to about $1,500 each. And it basically takes the water from the tub, brings it in, cools it down, and then shoots it back in. I recommend buying one that's at least a quarter of a horsepower. That's still on the low side. I think half a horsepower is probably gonna be the best, or maybe even 1 horsepower. But I haven't built one myself. I'm not the biggest expert on that, but I have used DIY ice baths and they're good, right? It works, but it's definitely not as clean and polished as the more expensive ice baths that you can buy, which brings us to the next section. All right, so the most expensive way of doing an ice bath is of course by buying an actual ice bath machine. And now in the market, most of these machines are gonna cost you between $5,000 to $10,000. So definitely super, super expensive, but let's talk about some of the options you guys have available. The two main ones that I know about are the cold plunge. This is probably like the most popular one that you see most people using. And then the Edge Theory Labs ice bath. This is the one that I actually ended up buying, and I'm so happy with how the product performs. Besides these two, there are more premium products out there from other brands. These generally range between $10,000 to $15,000. And so for me, that was just too expensive. I didn't want to spend that much. And so I didn't really even consider those options. The reason why an expensive ice bath around $5,000 is so good is because it saves so much time. These machines all provide different levels of filtration, so it keeps the water clean. They allow you to set constant temperatures. So let's say if I want to do an ice bath at exactly 45 degrees, I can set that and it's gonna be at that temperature. It also makes sure that that water is that exact temperature 24/7, so I can literally do an ice bath whenever I want. I can also have friends come here, use it, and the machine allows it to stay at that temperature even with multiple uses. It also looks a lot better, so if I'm using it for social media or I'm taking photos or making content with it, an actual ice bath looks a lot better than using like a chest freezer or a DIY rubber tub with tubes everywhere. And so yeah, obviously the most aesthetic way is just to actually buy an actual ice bath. So now let me take you guys from start to finish actually doing an ice bath. Let's go. So as you guys can see, I've taken off my clothes, I've gone into my swim trunks, and I have my towel ready. Now you're gonna need a phone or some type of timer because you're gonna want to do the ice bath for a set amount of time. And for today, we're gonna be doing it for 3 minutes. So let's go outside and let's do this. Whew. All right, so we have the ice bath right here. What I'm basically gonna do is I'm gonna open it up. This is sort of how I like to open it. And what I do is I first check the temperature. Okay, so right now it's 46.9 degrees, so not bad. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open up my timer. Okay, so I've got this up and I'm gonna go to 3 minutes. This is what I've been doing for the last 6 months, and it seems to be a good balance between not being too short, but also staying long enough to where I can actually feel the effect. So we have it set for 3 minutes. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start breathing. I'm gonna take a lot of deep breaths. Sort of psych myself up to get into this cold water. And yeah, every time I do this, you guys, it's hard. It's never super easy. And yeah, it's a lot of mental willpower, and you sort of get used to it. But I will say, every time I'm about to do it, I still get a little bit nervous and scared. Okay, so I'm gonna step inside. Okay. Before again, I'll take some more deep breaths. And as I get in, I'm gonna start the timer. And basically what I'm gonna do is, as I get fully into the water, I'm gonna breathe out as I'm doing that. It makes it a lot easier. And let's start. Okay. Okay. So there's different levels of doing this, right? Like you can have your arms out, which makes it quite a bit easier, or you can have them in. So I'm gonna put them in for this video. And basically I like to sit like this, and I have my hands on my legs. Yeah, the most important thing for this is you want to control your breathing, right? Your body's gonna go sort of into shock. It's gonna want to shiver and like start spazzing out, but your whole goal is to control your breathing so that that does not happen. So what I like to do is I basically breathe in, and then out. Slow, deep, controlled breaths. And what I like to do is I do that 10 times, and then on the 10th time, I basically breathe all the way out and then don't breathe back in. So I basically go like this. And then after holding that for like 15 seconds, that's when I breathe back in. So I'll just keep doing that in rounds of 10, and it really does make the time go by a lot faster. Now, of course, you can get farther into the water. You guys can also dunk your head in, which makes actually a really big difference. I definitely recommend doing it. Hi, Rocky. But I'm filming this video. I don't want my hair to get wet and all messed up, so I'm just not gonna do that for this video. And yeah, you pretty much stay in here for 3 minutes. It does get a lot easier after the first minute. I'll say that first minute is pretty tough, but after that, your body gets used to it and it starts feeling really, really good. Okay, so my timer's going off. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get out like this. Oh. I like to dry off my shorts a little bit, grab my towel. And the first thing I do is, well, I don't dry off immediately. I like to just sort of stand here, get some hopefully sun on your body. It feels really good. The sun's sort of setting right now, so we don't have too much of it. And then I sort of move my body like this. So just doing this helps circulate the blood. Right now your blood is super, super cold, right? And your body's working to warm it back up. And so I think it's important to not immediately dry off. It's important to come out, do some movements with your body, and sort of let your body dry off naturally. And after that, I just dry off, and you guys are probably gonna feel super, super good after doing this. I'm shivering just a little bit, but my skin feels really tight. You know, I have way more energy, and I definitely do feel this rush of like dopamine, I think, that comes with doing ice baths. So yeah, that's why I like to do these after lunch when I'm sort of in my afternoon slump. So instead of taking, you know, like an afternoon nap, I'll do this, stay in there for 3 minutes, come out, and then I'll be ready to work a few more hours before calling it quits for the day. I'm gonna show you guys the Edge Theory Labs tub just a little bit more. I bought this because I thought it was the coolest looking one. It's portable, and the cooling unit is actually both a cooling unit as well as a heating unit. So this can be an ice tub as well as a hot tub up to I think 105 degrees Fahrenheit. It filters the water. I really like how the tub feels. I think it looks really great. And yeah, it's very, very expensive, guys, about $5,000. But if you guys do ice baths consistently, then it's gonna be worth it. You just need to decide, is it worth the convenience of investing into something as expensive as this? Now, I do have a full review about this tub on my other channel. We'll leave it down below. This video is not sponsored by them, but if you guys do use the code Charlie, you will get $150 off your purchase. But yeah, no pressure at all. Woo! All right. A successful ice bath. Feel awesome, and I'm gonna go get changed. Now, in terms of how long you guys should do an ice bath, that's really also gonna depend on your preferences. So for me, I've just always done 3 minutes, but I've also heard about other people doing up to 10 minutes. And I have heard that if you do it for over, around 10 minutes, you really aren't getting that many effects. It's actually not good for your body. But yeah, I just recommend you guys try it out. You don't wanna stay in so long that you're getting out and shivering and just feeling like absolute crap. That would sort of defeat the whole purpose of doing an ice bath. And so yeah, in conclusion, the amount of time you guys choose to do really depends on you guys testing out different times and seeing which one you like the best. As far as different temperatures go, you'll want to probably start off at around 50 to 55 degrees. This is gonna be really chilly, but it's not gonna, make you feel like you're gonna die. Do that, get used to it, and then maybe the second or third time you can bump it down a couple degrees and just keep doing that until you get to the maybe mid 40s. For me, I found that 45 degrees is a really good temperature. It's still really cold, but when I'm doing it, I don't feel like I'm dying. I'm not in extreme pain. And when I get out, I'm not shivering. I just feel really, really good. I've gone as low as 38 degrees, and 38 degrees, you guys, is super, super cold. That's when it starts to really hurt. And for me, when I did it that cold, I just didn't feel good after. I was shivering for a long time. And that's why I decided to keep my tub mostly between 45 to 47 degrees. So now let's talk about what the optimal time to actually do an ice bath is. Now, this is obviously going to depend on you and your schedule, but for me, I like to do ice baths either first thing in the morning or about 30 minutes after I eat lunch. When you do an ice bath in the morning, this really wakes you up. I guarantee you're not going to get back into bed after doing it. So yeah, a lot of people, they like to get up, brush their teeth, and then hop directly into the ice bath and wake up that way. The reason why I prefer to do ice baths in the afternoon after lunch is because my energy levels are extremely low after I eat. We sort of talked about this already, but it's just a great way for me to get a new wave of energy that can help me work a few more hours. I think the most important thing though is that you guys do ice baths at a time that allows you to be consistent. So if you absolutely hate waking up and going into the ice bath, then well, you'll probably be able to do that for a couple weeks, but after that, it's gonna get too hard and you're just gonna stop doing it. The most important thing, you guys, is be consistent at it. Pick a time that you enjoy doing it at, and that's really going to allow you to turn this into an actual habit. Now, I don't do ice baths after workouts because I've heard from a lot of people that doing them after a workout can actually hinder muscle growth. I don't know if this is 100% true, but that's what Andrew Huberman says. And if he says it, then, well, I'm gonna listen to him. That's why I wait a minimum of 3 or 4 hours after I work out to do my ice baths. I work out early in the morning, and then by the time I ice bath after lunch, it's been, already 5 hours. And then yeah, if I do it in the morning, that's gonna be before my actual workout. Now, as far as the benefits of cold water therapy, there have been so many research articles that I've looked into, and there does seem to be a lot of scientific proof for the positive benefits of cold water therapy. We're not gonna get into too many of them in this video, but I will say I've definitely felt the effects, and that's why I continue to do them. The first thing is that I get much better sleep at night. So when you do an ice bath, it really puts your body in a good amount of stress. It's really working hard to regulate your temperature, and that does burn a lot of energy. And yeah, that's one reason why it helps you sleep a lot better. It also does help with my mood, right? When I do ice baths, I feel really good. I have more dopamine, and I think that's a benefit that not a lot of people realize. Your mood is so important for how you function, for how you go about life, and it's just one of the tricks that I use to stay positive most of the time. Ice baths also help with recovery, so if you work out a lot like I do, then your muscles are gonna be always, in a state of recovery, and going in cold water can definitely reduce the time it takes for you to actually recover from your workouts. Not only that, but you'll be less sore, and that is going to encourage you to want to work out more. Beyond the actual health benefits, there are so many mental benefits as well. And yeah, I just think that being able to do something hard like this, getting in really cold water that shocks your body, it takes a lot of mental willpower. And if you guys are able to do something like this, it's gonna make doing other things a lot easier. Doing things that most other people will not want to do. That translates into doing better in business, being better at self-improvement, and just having more self-control. Now let's talk about my final thoughts when it comes to doing ice baths. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been doing them for about half a year now. And yeah, it's extremely challenging. It's very hard. I don't like cold temperatures, but I knew that there were so many benefits to it. I knew I wanted to challenge myself, and that's why I decided to go all in, buy an ice bath, and make it part of my daily routine. I'll admit there are times when I'm like, I really don't like the cold water. I wanna get rid of this machine and never do this again. But almost every single time after I do the ice bath, I feel amazing. And yeah, so that's why I just recommend you guys try it for yourself. You'll never know until you guys actually try it. I'm huge on getting out of my comfort zone and challenging myself, and doing ice baths is a very obvious and straightforward way to do that. I feel like it's helped with my mental strength. I feel like everything I do in life is just a little bit easier. And yeah, best of all, it's just been really fun. I've had a lot of friends over, they've used the ice bath, and yeah, not one single regret. Some more closing remarks. Guys, there are some risks in doing ice baths, so make sure that you guys are, healthy enough. Maybe talk to your doctor to see if this is something that you should be doing. And then with ice baths and, everything in life, everyone does does it differently. Figure out what works best for you, figure out what time you want to do it, how long you want to do it for, your optimal temperature, all that stuff. And yeah, I think you guys will have a lot of fun if you incorporate cold water therapy into your routine. Anyways, I hope you guys got some value out of this video. I'm very passionate about this topic, and I feel like a lot of people out there watching this can benefit from doing it. So yeah, hopefully this helped. Anyways, if you got some value, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. I make a ton of content about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. That's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.